So this is a question, and I know it ties into depending on where you are in the world in terms of what country, but kind of globally, do you believe that the COVID vaccine will be mandatory or voluntary for everyone?
Oh, it definitely will be voluntary. In some countries, you may see it being mandatory. But I think the moment you start telling people it's mandatory, you're going to get an awful lot of rebellion. And I think we're probably going to see 3/3 in our societies. We're going to see the people who are very keen to be vaccinated. And despite the fact that they might worry about, the speed with which all of this has happened, they will be vaccinated. And then you have the people who say they definitely won't be vaccinated. And then you'll have people who will watch and wait, and they will see how the first third have dealt with the vaccine. And they'll also start to see how perhaps that may give you the freedoms that they would crave. And that's the thing, you see, if you start making it mandatory, then you haven't given people the choice to get involved. Do I think everybody should be vaccinated? I absolutely do. But do I think you can make everybody vaccinated? I absolutely don't. And I think that we're doing a lot of thinking at FIP about how pharmacists can help with vaccine hesitancy and how we can help with understanding why people don't want to be vaccinated, and understanding that this may not be a mantra or a dogma, but it may be linked to other belief systems and other cultural issues that the individual may have. I think we've got to do more about talking about the benefits of vaccination. Clean water and vaccination has kept the world going, and you can see what no vaccine has done to the whole world in 2020.
Yeah. And I like that you made the distinction that you are focusing more on the psychology behind it, the communication strategies, getting the buy-in, which we know in healthcare, if you propose any sort of recommendation, you have to get the buy-in in order for them to even implement it or for it to work. And so shifting that mindset that sometimes even a word, voluntary versus mandatory, can have drastic effects on vaccinations.
We've got to depoliticize this. We've got to. We're in 2020. If you think about the last 5 years or so, in many of our cultures, we've got real binary arguments going on. You're either in this group or in this group, and by doing that, you're either pro-masks or anti-masks, or you're one or the other. By pushing people into one of those two groups, you're not affording them the opportunity to change their views in any way, shape or form. The tribalistic political approach that we find ourselves in is not helpful for trying to get a whole population to buy into something that will be of benefit for all of us. And this is the really tricky thing, I think, Rula. Look at the countries that have done this well. They've either done this well because they've got state control, which basically says you will all stay at home and we will police you and we will mandate this. Or you've got leaders who've said, we have to do this together. And maybe they're on a small island or they're somewhere which is more controllable of their borders and what have you, but they've kind of got their population to control themselves rather than be controlled. The countries that have done less well are the ones that have encouraged a binary discussion. And if we do that about the vaccine, if we push people into the I'm for a vaccine or I'm against a vaccine, then we're never going to move the people who are against a vaccine into understanding the potential benefits. So we really have to talk about the public good for this and depoliticize it. And that also means scientists, and I count myself as a scientist, really speaking with empathy and not speaking with derision or with, the facts are the facts and that's what it is, because that makes people who don't want to be vaccinated feel that they're being told they're stupid or that they are ill-informed. And that also forces people into that corner. So if you think about 2020, it's the worst time for our countries that have been having those binary discussions to have a pandemic.
Yeah, I love that approach in terms of thinking about how we group people and then bringing it, because if the focus is one large group, one collective good, are we truly doing that in any small behaviors that we might have, even from a clinician perspective of how we talk to patients, all the way to the rules and regulations that we implement.